Hello, and welcome to episode 49 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all the things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and with me this week to talk about the worst of the best, not the best of the worst, is Sean
It's whatever you want it to be.
and Harrison.
I thought it was the best of the worst, but now I'm confused.
And we're going to be talking this week. The subject we picked out for discussion is going to be our least favorite games in our favorite franchises. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I guess it could be least favorite, or I tried to do like the worst games of certain franchises. So last week we talked about the
I
best
think
games
least
of
favorite is just the polite way to say it.
Yeah,
right. In our opinions, and again,
Yeah.
we're not Nintendo experts. Of what are the worst games of Nintendo franchises, following up, ending off last week and last year, talking about our favorite games of the year. So, I mean,
good point.
you can't have something positive without something negative directly after that.
It's like poetry.
But before we get into that, there was one rumor I saw talked about a lot on the internets this week that I kind of wanted to just have a little chit chat about before we get into that. If you'll all humor me here.
Switch 2?
What's that? Oh, Switch 2.
Switch 2?
No, there was a Switch
Starting
2
the year.
news bite, but it wasn't really news. I don't know if you saw that. It was like some industry insider saying that the Switch 2 is going to be more of a
it's just gonna
upgrade
be
than a
like an
new
upgraded-
system. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
But whatever. That's not real. There's no details there. The one I wanted to talk about was this rumor that an insider claims that Banjo-Kazooie has had a new game greenlit. And
Really?
I'm super excited for that. I've often used this as an example of like, why do companies just sit on these franchises forever? There's no reason they can't be making new Banjo-Kazooie games. Nintendo can't make them anymore, but Microsoft, you bought Rare Studios, like they basically failed on nuts and bolts and gave up on the whole franchise. And it's like, come on, you can have one dud of a game and recover. Everyone loves a comeback story. Bring it back.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. And they're buddies with Nintendo, so it could be on the Switch.
Yeah, and like just what I want out of this is please don't try to rethink things, okay? Go with the nostalgia. Go give us Banjo 3E that we've always wanted. Just make it like the Mario Odyssey of Banjo-Kazooie games. You don't have to do a whole reinvention from the ground up this time like Nuts and Bolts was.
Right.
No, I think that would work perfectly. And now that, I guess this is relevant. So, I don't know if you guys get any gaming goodies over the holidays, but I finally was able to get one of the N64 controllers.
Nice.
And it's easier now because if you buy it direct from Nintendo's site, you have to be a online member. And
That's
I know
good.
that's not going to eliminate scalping, but it'll make it a little more of a process. So yeah, I got it in like 2 days, which was crazy. But I tried a little everything, and I'll admit it, Mario 64 plays significantly better with its original controller. So I'm
I
looking
like
forward
that all
to
the
when,
sound effects change when you use those other controllers too in the Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch Online menus. I don't know why they did that, but it's cool.
So if you want to get one, that's probably the easiest way to get it. I recommend it. I mean, I guess if you're a crazy collector and need the original controller for every online thing, then get the other ones. But no, so when we get to Banjo, I'm like, oh, I'll actually be able to play it, and because I don't know. Like I said, I played a little bit of Mario, and I'm like, I'm not fighting the camera. Like this is nice. Like I'm playing it the way it's supposed to get played.
The second Banjo game must be coming to Switch Online this year.
It's gotta be.
That's got to be a prediction that I'm going to throw out. Like it's
gotta
been
be
so long
like-
since the first one was put on there, and now it's like they should test the waters for how popular the franchise's second installment was.
I almost feel like that could be a direct, like, hey, there's a new Banjo game in development, blah blah blah, and later today, Banjo Tooie is gonna get added to the N64 Online.
Exactly.
Yep.
Could you imagine a new Banjo game, but then Microsoft's like, yeah, this is a software exclusive, or this is a hardware exclusive. I mean,
I legitimately might buy an Xbox for
To
a new
play it.
Banjo game.
well,
Because
well,
I've been on
well,
the
well,
fence about buying one for a long time, and that would tip me over the fence.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I liked my Series S because I had so many previous gen games I never played,
Mhm.
but like but Microsoft might just be like, like we really need an exclusive. Like we really need more exclusives. Okay, Banjo, like perfect age range. Like a lot of Xbox users are kind of in our age range where they would like a new Banjo game. So, so yes, exactly what you said, Kevin. Like perhaps it would make people buy the system. Um,
Well, if you're gonna get the real one, don't get the S.
Okay.
It
yeah,
probably can't
yes.
play Banjo 3D.
Yeah, I'm considering it. We'll see. We'll see how my year in
But I don't know.
PlayStation 5 goes.
I feel like Nintendo and Microsoft have such a good little friendship going now that I don't see them making that an exclusive.
We'll see.
I could see them definitely being like, and Sony can't have it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
You don't want to
exactly.
share with your toys? Fine. No Banjo 3 for you.
Yeah, exactly. Since we're on the sort of news section, did you see that the kid who defeated or broke
Oh,
Tetris?
yeah.
I
Kid who
saw the
Yeah.
beat
headline, but I didn't
Tetris.
click on it. How do you beat Tetris? What's the
So
article
so he's
about?
the first player apparently in history to get to
The kill.
a
Yeah.
kill
Oh,
screen,
okay.
which is like he was on level 156 or 157, where like you just can't go up anymore and it just freezes. So like it's like, did he win? Did he reach the ending? Did he just like break the game because he was just so good? And also
You
like,
are the Tetris.
yeah, yeah. Like look at me, I'm Tetris now. Um, I, I've watched a lot of these like Tetris competitions, and like I've seen like even like recently there's like new techniques that people use for like, like how they like turn the controller, the
Yeah,
NES controller
I was
sideways.
about to
Yep.
say they play it so funny where they're like flicking the buttons almost. They're not even
Right,
pressing them. It's just like flick, 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 flick.
I'm
right.
amazed at how watching one of those, like, that's a rabbit hole. I'm like, nope, you watched one. You can't keep watching people play Tetris. Your whole day's gone.
I
Because
get the
it's
Well,
same way with
fascinating.
those impossible Mario Maker level videos.
mhm,
Like
yeah.
it's so addictive.
I I want to know like those Tetris players like thousands of hours. Does it become like your Bobby Fischer at some point where like you just like, is Tetris enjoyable? Like, are you actually like sitting down and playing that game? Like, are you actually
Or is
enjoying it? Because I would hate
it,
it.
or is it just you become one with it? It's like, no, uh,
But
we have merged. It's like, it's
but
not
like
even
this
enjoyable.
this is what I'm good at. This is the game that I play. This is the way that I support myself. Perhaps I don't know, but like I don't know. I've seen streamers on Twitter talk about how like like I wish I could play more games, but like I'm afraid I would lose my audience.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like I'm a Valorant streamer and I really want to play like the new Mario game, but I can't.
Oh no,
And,
there'll be none of that here.
and it's like oh no, it's like oh no, it's like, well, perhaps like you know it's just too bad. It's just too bad they would set up their audience like that.
Well,
Well, give
speaking of
me
games I
another
don't like,
reason not to stream.
Yeah. Speaking of bad games.
yeah, exactly. That's a good transition, I guess, to what we wanted to talk about this week. So we all put together a list of our least favorite entries in some of our favorite franchises, and we're gonna go down them. So, Harrison, since this was your idea, why don't you kick it off?
Okay. Well, I'll start. I'll start with Zelda. We've talked about this previously. I don't have a least favorite or a worst Zelda game because I don't think I've played the bad Zelda games, and we're eliminating like the course like the CDI and
Yeah,
all of
I
those
always feel
ones.
like that's a cheat. Like when you watch these YouTube videos
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like, oh, the CDI or like Hotel Mario, and it's like, well, that's not an official
Exactly.
Nintendo game. Like,
yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna choose one that's not officially Nintendo's though. I'm gonna go with Age of Calamity,
okay,
Okay.
because and, and although that game received like very good reviews overall, like very good reviews, I thought the overall style of the game was ridiculous, and it was the most ridiculous game for me to try to run on my Switch at times. I mean, there was just clearly way too many assets on my 7-inch screen, when I was trying
Mm-hmm.
to play it. So I did finish it. At times it was
Oh,
hilarious, but I found it to be like kind of bland and
okay.
perhaps just like not this perhaps not a genre of gaming that I really enjoy. I'll Kevin, I'll try to kick this over to you because like again, like I don't like any actual Nintendo Zelda game I've played is a banger. I think. Like even when we talk about like Ocarina of Time, like not my favorite game, but like still like iconic, like still very good. What do you?
Yeah.
so
What's the worst?
so this is more least favorite than maybe worst. I've talked before about how I don't like the Oracle games, but it's not that I don't like them. That's just that they feel there's something about them that feels off. So, because I can acknowledge they are good games, it's just something about them feels like it was an afterthought to make it a Zelda game or something. Like it, it feels retrofitted. I don't know. So, not those. Another game in the Zelda franchise that gets a lot of hate is Phantom Hourglass, which I actually think once you get past the touchscreen controls, it's not that bad. The main criticism is there's a location in the game you have to go back to like 100 times, and you keep getting a little further each time. And that is annoying, but it doesn't ruin the game for me. So that's my thoughts on Phantom Hourglass. My pick is my least favorite is Skyward Sword. And here's why. So I don't know if it's a bad game, but it is by far the most frustrating Zelda game for me because I've tried the Switch version where they supposedly fixed the motion controls, but they didn't. Um,
Yep.
and I've played the Wii version, obviously day one, and you know, this to put a point on this. This is a game I've beaten multiple times, so I can't hate it that much. But but at the same time, the motion controls are so frustrating. Sometimes they just flat out don't work. No matter which version you're playing, they just don't work. And it's frustrating, I think, mostly because I feel like if it just was a traditional control scheme, it would be a great Zelda game because the world is pretty cool. I like that you
Yeah.
can like level up your different items and stuff. That was new to the series. I like that it's the first time in the series that rupees actually mean something, and you don't just end up about an every other Zelda game about a couple of hours in, you hit a point where your wallet's just full and you don't need to spend money on anything. And Skyward Sword kind of solved that problem. There's always something to spend your money on. But yeah, I like the world. I just really those motion controls are just so frustrating and they ruin the game for me, especially those battles with what's his name? The main antagonist, not Aghanim, Garim, something like that. I don't know, the guy with the tongue. Uh you have to like swing the sword in such a specific way in those fights, and I swear I'm doing it right and it doesn't always work. So Skyward Sword, so frustrating. Really wish they could have given it normal controls for the Switch version, but they didn't. They mostly did, but there were still parts where you pretty much had to use the motion controls because
Well, you said the button layout it's just awkward, right? The way they did it.
yeah,
If you're trying
yeah,
to do
it's
no motion controls.
well what they did to replace the motion controls was they just kind of moved them to the right analog stick. So to swing your sword horizontally, you had to move the right analog stick like left right. And if you wanted to swing the sword vertically, you'd move the stick up down and everything else in between. But it doesn't feel natural to control it that way either. And during those fights where he catches the sword in between his hands if you swing it wrong, I had to turn it back to the motion controls because I couldn't get it to work with the joystick. And then I couldn't get it to work with the motion controls very easily either, but I eventually got it with them. They're just
It's interesting that you bring up like Phantom Hourglass, 3DS, Wind Waker, and the most frustrating part of like games like Breath of the Wild are like the motion controls. So
yes.
a lot. It seems like for you, a lot of the frustrations within Zelda are just actually just being able to play the game.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Especially the
yeah.
worst thing you could do in a Zelda game is be like, I know what the solution to the puzzle is. Why won't you just do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you haven't beaten me. I solved the puzzle. I just can't get Link to move his hand the way I want him to.
Well, this is a great preview for a spotlight later. This is all going to come back
Yeah,
around later
exactly.
on. Sean, what is the worst or least favorite game for you? What is your first pick?
So I did end up doing my most disappointing Zelda. I still haven't played Skyward Sword, so I can't I can't say anything on it, and I didn't play most of the handheld ones. But so this is a pretty good game, but to me, Twilight Princess is the most disappointing one I've played because I played it at launch on the Wii and I put 45 hours into it, and I've never wanted to play it again. And I don't feel like a Zelda game should make you feel that way. And I know it starts off really slow and,
Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite of Wind Waker. I think I've said this on the show before, but in case I haven't, it does start off slow. And I feel like Wind Waker has the opposite problem where Wind Waker starts off great and then has that fetch quest at the end that takes forever.
yeah.
And then Twilight Princess is like the opposite. Twilight Princess ends really strong, but it takes forever to get going.
Because there are things in it like when you fight the bokoblin who's on the boar. That's really cool. But I can do that in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. So I'm like, all right, well, there's no reason to go back to Twilight Princess.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, I really like, the boss fight with the big skeleton guy, and you get the wheelie thing, and it's like that you never use ever again. And I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Or the snowboarding thing, like that was really cool. But I'm like, I don't remember the boss fight being memorable. And I think the thing that was weird about it, because I think the
That's
best
actually one of
thing,
my favorite Zelda dungeons. How dare you, sir? But go on.
well, I love the dual hook shot in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that's the only time they've done it. They've never brought it back. But
I was talking about after you snowboard because that's what you mentioned.
oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
place you
yeah.
snowboard to, that abandoned like mansion, is one of my favorite Zelda dungeons.
I don't remember too much of it, but that was the thing too. Is I feel like it's gonna sound bizarre. There's almost too many dungeons in that game. Like I don't
You know
know.
what
It
you
just
just
feels like
jogged a memory of is I remember
what?
when they were promoting Skyward Sword. One thing they said was, "Oh, something that's going to be a big deal in this game is that we've seamlessly blended the dungeons with the rest of the world. So, like, you won't even realize you're in a dungeon until you're like halfway into it." And they kind of do that in Skyward Sword, but I'm like, Twilight Princess did that already. Like, you're acting like it's new. I feel like the
Yeah.
dungeons in Twilight Princess are even do an even better job of seamlessly integrating with the world because they're not all like a traditional dungeon type, like that mansion. that I just mentioned. Like, you think you're just going to like this big abandoned house, and it's actually a dungeon, and other things like that.
I think that the last thing with that game that just makes me not want to revisit it, other than I really don't have any way to play it, but the fact that the fight with Zant is like awesome,
Yeah,
and then the fight with Ganon is just like
I'm a big pig man.
all the air goes out of the room, and you're like,
He's like
what?
stomping. It's like, yeah, he like stomps around, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he just and Zant. It's like, I'm gonna take you to all these different places, and it's like it's such a cool fight, and I'm like, I don't really feel like we needed to fight Ganon after that. Like,
Yeah, just like Bowser, I feel like this will also come up in the Spotlight game. I feel like the Zelda series does rely on Ganon way too
yeah,
often when they have
Mhm.
other cool secondary villains.
For sure.
and I'm like, especially in that game because Zant's really like front and center, and it's like, oh yeah, Ganon, Ganon's here, pig, yeah. And it's tough for me because like Wind Waker's Ganon's one of my favorites. Like I love that end fight. That whole thing's amazing. But it's not Twilight Princess is not a bad game, but I have zero desire to ever go back to it, and that's where it kind of is just disappointing.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of games with little replay value or games I didn't really play more than once or maybe twice, I'll pivot to Mario now. We did our 2D tier list, but for me, my least favorite or of the ones that I've played is New Super Mario Brothers 2. I think when I had that game on 3DS, I think I played through it only once or twice, which
Yeah.
was maybe less than 10 hours overall, and then felt like I was just done with it. Like it felt like a rehash, felt like I don't remember if there was any original music within that game. Not much originality in anything, and um, when we did our tier list, the only one we ranked lower than that was Mario Run on mobile. That's
Mhm.
one I haven't played.
So,
Well,
Yeah,
it trolls the player before we even had the term troll, is what that game does.
Mario Run.
No,
Oh, New Super Mario Brothers
yeah,
2
yeah,
because it's new.
yep.
Is what you mean, right? Right. I remember. I think I bought it, played it, traded it in. I think.
Yeah, it's just all about those coins, and it's like
yeah, that was the whole gimmick. I never even beat that game
you
because I'm
thought
like,
there was going to
okay,
be. It was like they
coins.
tricked you. You thought there was going to be more to the game, and there wasn't.
Yeah, so I tapped out on that one. I never even finished it.
Yeah, that might be the worst of the 2D Mario's. I don't know if it's the worst Mario game. Kevin, do you have a worse Mario game?
I do have
Or
a
is it-
Mario on my list, so this one is personal. Okay, it's
He's making it
it's
personal.
personal. I think a lot of our listeners, if they're about my age, can relate to this story. So you'd go and you'd rent a video game, and it was the only video game you'd be playing that weekend. It took your whole weekend was reliant on this being a good video game. And you saw the
Mm-hmm.
box for Mario is missing. And you were like, oh,
Mhm.
cool. A game where Luigi is the main character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it had the art style of Super Mario World. So
Yep.
it looked like it was. And I remember I rented this thing multiple times because just like a few other things when I was a kid, I thought I just didn't get it. Like I was like, oh no, it's a Mario game. It must be awesome. I'm just not finding the part where the game is. Like because you wander the city, and I
Yep.
thought for sure there was like, oh, I just have to find the right building or something, and when I get inside, it'll be a really cool game. But no,
Nope. You
it's just a
pick
bad
up
game.
trash or what looks like trash. See, if it makes you feel better, we owned it.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
But
I know
yeah,
Mario's
that was
Time
rough.
Machine is equally bad, but I don't
Yeah.
think I ever
No,
played Time Machine.
Mario is missing. Oh my god!
Okay.
Like
I
You
must
want
say
to see the same 3 static screens and occasionally we'll change it in the back? Great. You want to pick up crumpled pieces of paper? Awesome. You want to backtrack like there's no end to anything? I think we beat it because it was like, well, we own it. We should beat it. But I was like, oh my God. And like, that's a terrible game.
I like the marketing for that game. It reminds me much of like calling it like the Lost Levels. Like it sounds like his because as a kid, to me it sounded like like the Lost Levels. Like they
Yeah,
don't want you to
no.
they don't want you to play these ones. Like these were in a vault somewhere. Mario's Missing, I think, had a similar idea for like it sounds really cool. Like a
It's
game.
just
They should make a
so
version of the game that's good and release it on the
so
Switch.
dull. Like, oh,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea. I love the idea of having a game where it's like a detective
so
game, or like you have to find Mario, or Mario is essentially Princess Peach or something.
so
I don't
here,
know.
here here's part of why I think it was misleading because I'm looking at the box art now. You got Bowser dragging Mario into like a castle and Luigi looking for him. So you think, oh, this is gonna be like a platforming thing.
Yep.
And then if you paid attention and read the little flavor text of a geography learning adventure that's way cool. And it's like, oh no, no, no. What's
It's some
sad
edutainment.
is so this is the first time Luigi was the main character until Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah,
That's
it's
very true.
what's funny, Luigi needs like his own Bechdel test almost where like the Bechdel test for like if a script is like has strong female characters.
Yeah.
Mm.
If a Luigi game is a strong Luigi game, can we get one where it's not all about Mario still? Because even the Luigi's Mansion games, he's looking for his brother. So
Yeah,
Mario.
not in the
yeah.
first one, but like yeah, it's like can Luigi get his own little Bechdel test game where he passes and it's not all about Mario?
Can we get a way to tell Luigi it's all fine? Like actually like you're uh what's the appropriate way of saying it? Like you're a badass. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna be fine, Luigi, and I'm with you, and we're gonna be fine together. So calm down. That's what I want to tell him.
So what is your next game, Harrison? You
So
were next, right? I can't
Wait,
remember.
Sean, run, Sean.
Oh, we're on Sean. Okay. I
Yeah.
lost track.
I have my motion control gripe game. Donkey Kong Country Returns. Why would you make a 2D platformer where the roll move requires you to shake the controller? Like, there's no but and there was no way to make it a button. Like that's how you had to do it. It's like I couldn't beat the game because of the issues you've had in Skyward Sword, where I'm like, okay, and it's like, and it went off as I'm falling off the platform already. Like I couldn't get it to work when it was supposed to, and that's the only thing. And I'm like, I don't even want to finish this game. And I know it. They had a 3DS remake, but that's just such a bad taste in my mouth. And it's like I was so excited because it's Donkey Kong Country Returns, and
Yeah.
they made a big thing, and I liked the
Mhm.
tiki bad guys and all of that. And the whole game, I'm just like, I just want to hit a button. That's it. Just a button. No? Okay. So you're like trying to like platform and shake the controller, but not hit the button. And oh, God. That's the only time I've like tapped on a Donkey Kong and went, you know what? We're good. I'm all set. So
I don't remember playing that one. So like, did it feel more of like a gimmick, or like did it feel
it
more of
just
like
felt like they had finished the game, presented it to Nintendo, and they went, well, people like motion controls. You got to put motion controls in it. So then they were like, ugh. So that was the only thing they could do. Be like, well, they'll take away this one ability and make it so you have to shake the controller. Like, ugh. It was the beginning of the trend too. That because as much as I love Tropical Freeze, I hate that returns in Tropical Freeze the only animal you can use is Rambi. Like they don't have a bunch of them like they did in the old ones. So that's where that started. But yeah, I was just really disappointed by that game.
Problems with motion controls. Yeah, problems with the times. All right, I'm gonna kick it back. I'm gonna go all the way back to NES.
Ooh,
I'm gonna go with Where's Waldo. There we go.
it
Where
sounds frustrating.
Where's Waldo? Developed by a little company called Bethesda
Oh,
in 1990, I believe. Wait, I have it here. 91. It was the second NES game developed by Bethesda. The first one being Wayne Gretzky Hockey. There's some fun trivia for you, and it's. I remember having it because we used to like go to garage sales and just get like tons
oh
of
yeah.
games together, and it's like the book but worse. It's like it's like the graphics and the lighting of it make it so that like Waldo almost like disappears on some levels, and it's not very long. There's like 5 levels in it or something, and I'm looking through the wiki right now. Game Informer 1 out of 10, Nintendo Power 2.4 out of 5, Nintendo World Report 1.5 out of 10, and not only that, but they did develop a sequel to this game that came out on Genesis and NES, and they did a whole remake that came out on DS in 2009. So like I don't know,
Yeah.
like it's like it's really
It's
confusing that
notoriously bad too. Like you can't even make out what most things are supposed to be, and you're supposed to somehow find Waldo.
it's that's what I'm saying. It's like they took the book and they just made it worse, and they didn't do like anything to like make it different from the book. The DS, I guess you could actually like touch it. You actually like point and click, which I guess would be different. And I think it might have been ported to the Wii as well. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it's really bad, and it's made by and it's a game that's made by a $40 billion company now. So, Kevin, did you have any really old games on your list?
Yeah, it's almost like you read the notes and know my list.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah.
Well, I'm doing them in the order you're calling them. So
Okay.
the oldest game on my list, probably, well, definitely, is so this. I love the Final Fantasy series. Even its more modern entries, I can tolerate. The only one I haven't played so far is 13, which they really need to at this point release a Final Fantasy 13 collection. SquareSoft. There's more games in the series than 7. You can release the 3 games on modern consoles. They're only available for PlayStation 3 as of right now. So get that out there. But anyway, my least favorite Final Fantasy game by far, and it should be everyone's, and I'm not including spin-offs. I'm not including like
Should be everyone's.
I'm not including Dirge of Cerberus or like Final Fantasy X-2 or any of those other spin-offs.
Right.
Just mainline game. Final Fantasy 2. Anyone who says, because I see it online, people always rank their favorite Final Fantasy games, and I see people who put this as their favorite Final Fantasy. You're lying. You're lying for attention. Nobody thinks that Final Fantasy 2 is the best in the series. Now, if you like the story, that's okay. No story is Shakespeare. Shakespeare could not save this game. Okay? No story makes up for the gameplay involved here. So that's my rant about Final Fantasy 2. It's terrible. The leveling system is just a bad idea. And if you play it once, the only reason you should ever play this game is to be like, let me see what people are talking about. What is up with this game? Why is it so weird? And then you play it, you experience it, and you move on. That's it.
Yeah, I never went back to it, so I guess that's never going to get beaten because I lost interest.
It's
Too
really
much
bad.
backtracking.
Are there any like big like iconic moments in that game, or like is there any reason why that game stands out? Because this is like the number one game I see debated on Reddit.
So
Not
Is it more because it didn't get released here initially?
no, I don't think so. I think it's because the leveling system is such a bad idea. Like, and when you describe it, it's one of those things you have to experience to understand. Because when you describe it,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, that sounds and even the remake that you played, Sean,
Yeah,
improved it a little bit. Like if you play
I
the
didn't finish.
actual, yeah, if you play like the actual original, it's god awful. In the remake, they at least make you like level up a little faster and like you actually like gain abilities and stuff at a reasonable rate. Um, in
But
the
you still
original,
go in the same places over and over.
to quote one of my favorite podcasts, no one can know about this. You can fight battles in that game and gain nothing. You can fight battles and lose experience. Like
hmm.
it's yeah, it's so I don't know. I don't want to get hyped up and screaming on this podcast, but the reason anyone who debates that that's a good game is just wrong. The design objectively is a bad idea. It doesn't reward gameplay in the right ways. It just rewards repetition, and it doesn't even do that very well. So I don't know. I could honestly do a full podcast about why Final Fantasy II is a bad game. Maybe I'll make it a bonus episode. I don't know, but it's really bad, and no one should play it. And if they say it's their favorite in the series, they're just looking for attention. They just want to be like, no, I'm actually smarter than you because I understand why this game is good. It's like you just want attention. Go away, Sean.
So,
Sean, what's
so my,
yours?
I guess my last one is kind of controversial. I don't know, but it got me out of the series. So, Super Smash Brothers Brawl,
Hmm.
again, another motion control. Although you didn't have to use it in that one, but that's just when the series became too much. I mean, I know Ultimate has everything ever in it now, but that was just the beginning of it. It was like, oh, we get so many characters and so many this and that, and I'm like, oh my god! And, and
Yeah.
then they introduced online, and I'm like, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I played it, and I'm like, I don't think I really like Smash Brothers anymore after Melee.
Hmm.
I think I'm good. So I don't know. And it's I know there are people who live and die on the hill that know that was the best one. It introduced Snake and Sonic and da, da, da. But
Snake
I
doesn't
just
belong in Smash Brothers. Sonic barely belongs. I don't know. I've said this before. This is my piece on Smash Brothers is I prefer it when it's a much smaller roster and it's only Nintendo characters. And people online have argued this with me nonstop. Like, why would you want that? And it's like if when there's only 8 characters in a fighting game, it's better than 50 to me because each one feels special. It doesn't feel like they're clones of each other anymore, or this is just a palette swap when you get to Mortal
yeah.
Kombat. Like this is like each character is there for a reason. They have their own unique move set and no one else has it. That's what I like.
I quite enjoyed Brawl, but I guess I would agree that it's the worst in the series, and the online play made me reluctant to even buy or try this new Smash Brothers. It's like one of the games that I have and I never play, and then I have friends that it's the only game they play. It just I don't know. It's there's there's not a connection there. And I don't know if making the roster smaller or adding I
I
don't know.
I feel like
There's not an investment in it.
Melee had the perfect big roster and you unlocked them at a decent rate and I don't know. I just and then like I said, the online. I
That's
was
the
like,
thing I get. That's the thing that always starts
eh.
the argument online is when I say Melee is my favorite, is where I think the series peaked.
I agree. Like I played a lot of Melee, but again, that was like the last four people in the same room, and
Yep.
you know, then usually once you introduce online, I'm like, I think I'm out.
So, Sean, I'll put you on the spot. In your opinion, is there a worse Mario Kart game?
I'd say Double Dash because we had to retire it because one of our friends made it not fun.
Wasn't the one on the DS weird in some way? I can't remember.
7?
No, Mario Kart DS.
Oh, I don't know. I remember Double Dash we had to retire
I
because,
feel like that had like a gimmick, but I can't remember what the gimmick was. But anyway.
well, I mean, I like the gimmick of Double Dash and I enjoyed it. I'm glad some of the tracks, made it into 8, but when you have someone who played it all week so that they could lap people like multiple times on courses, we're like, yep, we're done with this. This is all over because it's like it's not Gran Turismo. Like it's freaking
Yeah.
Mario Kart. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, play a
So that's
different game.
probably my least favorite because I actually really liked Wii, but like I don't mind Mario Kart Online because I know I'm not gonna like. Yeah, occasionally I get first once in a blue moon, but I'm always kind of in the middle. I'm never like dead last, but it's fun
Okay.
because that game works online to me. But Smash Brothers, it's like, all right, you have 30 seconds in this room with this person who knows all the combos. Good luck.
Either of you, is there a worst Mario Party game?
I've actually not played. I hear that 9 is bad because you all get in the same car to travel the board,
Yes,
which sounds weird to me. But I haven't
yes,
played that
9 was
one.
not good.
I've really only
It did
played the 3 on Nintendo 64, and then I sat the series out completely until the Switch, and I've played the 2 on Switch.
9 was Wii, right?
Yeah.
Nine was Wii and 10 was Wii U.
Oh no, I think I played 10. I don't remember. I played
So,
some other one in the middle. Maybe it was either 8 or 10. But anyway,
so 9, yeah, nine's the one I didn't like of the ones I've played, but I played the original 3, 9, and the 2 Switch ones, and that's it. So
On Reddit, it was overwhelmingly, from what I saw, they said a top 100, which I totally forgot about. That
oh yeah,
that
that was just a
that
collection of mini
3DS.
games, though. I wouldn't even count that
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
game.
yeah, and I totally just had blanked that. Was it like really late in the 3DS life
Well,
cycle?
from
And
what I understand is so it wasn't like a real Mario Party game because there were no boards. It was just a
yeah, it was just
collection
mini
of
games.
what was supposed to be the 100 best mini games. But from what I hear, they didn't even pick the best mini games. So like there were so many not. You have 100 mini games. How do you leave some out? And from what I hear, people are like, there are all of these that everyone loves that aren't in it. Why? And then you put these in it that are terrible. So
right.
I don't know. That's all. That's all
The only
hearsay. I don't know.
modern complaint I'll give people is that they haven't added more boards to the Switch games.
Yes, like all of them.
Yeah.
Every Mario, the first Mario Party, the first one on the Nintendo 64 had 8 boards. There's no excuse for all of these to only have like 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So I
just
mean, I'll give people that, but like the GameCube, that's a black period for me. I never played those.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I have a few more. We can go lightning round or we can move on. Kevin, what do you
Well, what do you
think?
got? What
Yeah,
do you got?
let's do lightning round because I've got 2 that I will call them like dishonorable mentions or something that I don't have a lot to say about, but they're my least favorite entries in a
I
franchise.
I don't have any more, so
Okay.
you guys go.
Well,
Okay,
mine.
cool. Go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead. Oop.
you,
Go ahead, Harrison.
you go, Kevin.
All right.
What is yours?
So I feel like people forget about this game, but Metroid Prime Federation Force was a DS or 3DS game, 3DS, and it's a Metroid game without Samus. Like what? It's like they tried to like I guess expand the universe and the lore of the Metroid franchise, and it's just like a bad Halo game, basically. Um, so yeah, that one's pretty bad. I haven't played Other M. I hear that's a bad Metroid game as well, but I haven't played it. And Mega Man 7 is my other honorable dishonorable mention, just
Okay,
because
okay.
it's so weird that they made a classic Mega Man game in the Mega Man X art style, that it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's almost confusing. It's like, no, you had separate things going here and it was good. Why this? Plus it controls weird, I think. But those are my only complaints about Mega Man 7. I'll play it again.
I mean, I played it once, and yeah, I don't know. Everything about it was weird.
And I saw your note. I think Harrison, you made this note here. What the worst Virtual Boy game is?
All right.
It's easily Waterworld.
Oh, there's no competition.
Look up gameplay footage of Waterworld on Virtual Boy on YouTube or something. And yes, it's funny that the movie bombed and then the game, like they made a game about the worst movie disaster. Nintendo nerd pointed that out, but the thing is, like, it's barely a game. Like, watch gameplay footage. It's really really barely a game. It's just a game in that you can control a character on a screen and die, but other than that, there's not really a goal. It's like one of those ones where like you just get a high score. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was like a weird arcade game that gave you a headache.
Yep.
That's right. For me, I wanted to do my worst Pokemon game, which I put as Pokemon Sword and Shield. Even though Scarlet and Violet might be a worse game, I did have a lot more fun, and I thought that was at least an attempt into doing something new. Where Sword and Shield, I played it very very late. I maybe played it in like 2021 or maybe later. And I felt like it was very much like go on this route, go to this gym. Now you finish this gym, go on this route and go. It was I felt like it was extremely linear, and perhaps I'm hating on it more because I did take a long break from Pokemon and then try to jump back in. It just I had a horrible time with it. It was very poorly optimized. I'm not sure which one was optimized worst between Generation 8 and Generation 9, but and I also have friends that love the game and had a lot of fun shiny hunting in it, and I don't know. To me, it's just in my opinion the worst Pokemon game of a very rough series. My last random dishonorable mention, I guess I'll call it, is Mike Piazza's Strike Zone for the N64. I'm gonna add that one. That one came out in 1998, and if anyone happens to like know what I'm talking about, it has maybe the creepiest cover art of any like sports game I've ever seen. Just like it's like Mike Piazza behind his catcher's mask, and he's giving this really weird, wide-eyed smile. Um, just for reference, this came out in 1998. Ken Griffey, Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. came out the same year, with Slugfest coming out less than a year after that. We already had All Star Baseball. We already had Bottom of the Ninth, which was also a very horrible game. Um,
Oh
was
yeah,
that
that's terrifying box art. Wow.
it's terrifying. And Mike Piazza, I think I guess he's a fine person, but he's definitely a weird guy. And he's not someone that I would have try to market next to Ken Griffey Jr. And I'm forgetting. I had more, but we're gonna move on. Well, last thing I'll say is that like I would take bad sports games on the Switch if we just had like the options. Like I wish I could say like there's 5 baseball games on the Switch and I have to choose one of them, opposed to being like, here's a
There's
baseball
one.
game, or here's or football, here's none. Like, even if it's not your thing, I'm gonna keep pushing that. Like, there should at least be one on the system.
That's fair.
So with that, I bring it to a close. Listeners, what is the worst? What's the worst Nintendo game? What's the worst Kirby game? Is it Kirby Dream Land 3? Is it a different? Is it one of the other 25 Kirby games that we haven't played?
Yeah, that's a good question. So write us.
Bring back the positive.
Our Gmail. It's nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. So get at us there. Right now, we're going to talk about our Spotlight game. So everybody, I'm sure, had a chance to play it this week, because why wouldn't you jump at the chance to play a Zelda game? We played The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap this week. Which I always feel is like a slightly awkward title. I don't know, probably because of the two thes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And it came out in Japan on November 4th, 2004, and came out in America on January 10th, 2005. Came out in Europe, I lost the date, but it was in between there, and it was one of the only examples of Europe getting a Zelda game before North America did, which is weird. I think it came out in December there. But yeah, it's a great game. The end. No.
It's really, so I haven't beaten it. I'm gonna keep playing it, but yeah, no, I'm so happy that we finally dove into it, because wow, great art style. I love the story is simple. Like,
yep.
Who knew that'd be so refreshing? And then the shrinking mechanic is great, and it just goes to show you can have a traditional Zelda game that's kind of linear, but if you do interesting gameplay mechanics, then it makes it kind of special. So
I think we can all agree we would love these mechanics in like a main, not mainline, because this is a mainline game, but a console, like a not handheld Zelda game. Like we came close, because I don't know if you saw, there were, back when Twilight Princess was in development, I mean not Twilight Princess, Tears of the Kingdom. When Tears of the Kingdom was in development, they did all these interviews where they talked about how the Minish were almost in Breath of the Wild. They didn't really expand upon how they would have been used. I don't know if you would have shrunk down like in this game, but I really want a new Zelda game with this shrinking mechanic. It's so cool.
Yeah, I just, like I said, the art style, the fact that the story is literally just the evil wizard comes in and goes, "Oh, Princess Zelda, oh, you're stoned now, ha!" And then it's like, oh, there's this entire race of other people that, we didn't really mention, but they can help you. And I like that they integrate this being small into like the world design across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I'm only on trying to get to the second dungeon, I think, but even just walking through the village and seeing there are places which I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be able to be small and go in all these. All right, that's awesome.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think 2D Zelda offers in terms of structure that's kind of better than the last two Zelda games we've gotten, which are great, not throwing them under the bus, but they're different for sure. The open world, open puzzle thing, definitely for everything you gain, you lose something. And one thing that I think the more structured Zelda games have is there's like a very specific way to solve every puzzle. And I feel like you feel much better about solving the puzzles in this type of game versus like a Breath of the Wild, because think of how often you walk in a shrine in Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild and you see how the game designers want you to solve this puzzle, but you're like, but I'm just going to do this instead. And there's like a workaround. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Like
that
a
doesn't-
lot of the motion ones.
yeah.
It's like I'm just flipping the thing over and launching the ball over there. I'm not doing your maze.
And that doesn't happen in like the 2D Zelda games because there's always like a very specific way to solve a
Yep.
puzzle.
No, I mean I again, I'm not that very far in it, but I'm gonna finish it. And I love that the first boss was just a choo-choo jelly, and it's like, well, you're small now, so now it's gigantic. And
Yeah,
I'm
they
like, I
play with
really
so
love
much
that
of
idea.
that. It's so cool. Like you know, you're seeing like giant acorns and stuff when you're walking through the tall grass, or like you're in like a barrel. Like there's so many. I don't know. I really love this game. Well, we'll get to it in a minute, but I also hate that it's been over 10 years since Link Between Worlds. That was the last like traditional
That is
Zelda
10 years
game.
over.
That came out, yeah,
2013.
December of 2013.
2013.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. I didn't play this game originally on GBA. I was surprised and impressed by how bold like they made these graphics like just very bright, very bold colors to use.
I feel like that's a
for a Zelda
Capcom thing
game.
too. I feel like if Nintendo made this game, the art would not look like that. For better or worse, just an observation.
Do you think it? I mean, from your memory, does it look any better on the Switch? Did it look different on the Advance? Or also, I'll just add this part. Did the size of the Minish Cap on Advance make it difficult ever, Kevin? Like when you played it originally?
What do you mean the size of it? Like,
I was thinking I was thinking like playing it on
the screen.
like the size of your GBA screen, and perhaps if you played on an older GBA, and the size of the Minish Cap. I was just thinking, going through the game, thinking about why Nintendo made or why Capcom, made certain decisions on.
I'm pretty sure I would have played this game on. I had and I still have it, the adapter for the GameCube where you can play Game Boy Advance games on the GameCube, and I'm almost positive that's how I played this game. So unfortunately I can't answer that question, because back in the day, like, I abused the hell out of that thing. I used that thing. I think I played all my Game Boy Advance games on that, even though I had a Game Boy Advance.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I remember having that too. I had that. I had the battery block that went underneath it or above it. Yeah, it just like the whole whole setup. Yeah, but I was just unsure because I was thinking back to when we did what Metroid game did we do? Where in
Metroid 2, Return of Samus?
Right, where they would use Nintendo would use like the size of Samus and the size of the map to expand it more. Like, if you make Samus, if you make it smaller, then you can make different areas of the map that you can go into. So I just was wondering, how the decisions came about of how we're gonna make Link small, which in return makes the world big, and then also makes this other world that Link goes into. I just thought there was lots of interesting, very bold decisions that were made in developing this game. And I'm not that far either. I'm through the second boss, and I'm very surprised by knowing that it's a shorter Zelda game, the amount of depth, the amount of techniques and items that they have.
I've never collected all the Kinstones, and I might actually try to do that this time, just so I have something new I did.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I even like that mechanic though, because normally that would be something like you find it and you just click and nope, that's not it. I like that they do the little animation of trying to line them up, and I don't know, there's just a lot of little touches I like. Yeah,
this game has personality for sure. Like, there's definitely a charm to the art style and the way it animates. Just like the way Link rolls is like adorable.
Love it. Yeah.
Did
I
you
really
guys
like
get to the dungeon with the minecart yet? I can't remember which one that is.
I think that's the one I'm getting to.
Okay, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like an adorable moment in that dungeon as well. That's the word I'd use to describe this game. It's adorable in all the right ways.
It reminds me of Link's Awakening's remake.
Yeah.
Sure. Which makes me think like we just need remakes of all of these games.
Yeah.
Like because like I put on our notes that like I've said it on here so many times that like Link's Awakening remake has sold almost as many copies as Skyward Sword and Majora's Mask. Like it sold nearly 6.5 million copies, which is more than the original. Why would you not strike while the oven's hot? Everyone's playing Zelda right now. And also, like, it can't be that difficult. It can't be as expensive as making a new Zelda game. To like,
well, look at what I just said a few minutes ago. It's been 10 years over 10 years since A Link Between Worlds. If you just had a small development team on these, and they took 5 years to make, we could have had 2 2D Zeldas in the last 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, just make it like they used to do them both too. That's another thing I don't get, where they gave up on this, because I'm pretty sure this came out relatively close to Wind Waker. Like I don't have the dates in front of me, but I know it felt like for a while, like you'd get a console Zelda game, and then like 2 years later, you'd get a handheld one. And then you get another console one, and then another handheld one. And they were like they did them both at the same time.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, I mean, Link's Awakening remake is the 10th best-selling Zelda game of all time, including everything, including every mainline game. I mean, like, I just don't see like why they just wouldn't release all the rest of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Minish Cap or Oracle of Ages remake on a new system. Link Between Worlds, remake. So yeah, I was very happy with the R button dodge roll in this game. I felt like the combat in this game felt like a great continuation from a game like Link's Awakening, where it never felt too overwhelming, and it felt like the dodge roll just made it easier to traverse through the world. It's actually a mechanic I wish were in a lot of other games, where I'm like, I just want to be able to sprint or like get through this section a little bit quicker. And also we mentioned how like cute, adorable this game is. Do you find the story of this game to be a bit dark at all? Like,
it's a little dark. It has a hint. Yeah, I liked that though.
They do turn Zelda into stone, right? Like,
well, Vaati is such a dark villain. He wears purple, for crying out loud. Like, and he's got gray hair and red eyes. How do you get darker than that?
Yeah. I find like again, like, especially like with same with like Yoshi's Island, where it's like we kidnapped the baby, you know, like, and like you got to get the baby back, or we take the baby for, I don't know why they want the baby, but you know, like, it's like, so despite it being like,
I want to know more about the Minish being in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
like that's my main takeaway from this week. Thinking about this game, it's like, were you able to shrink down? Were they just like there and like you could see them? Were they like the Koroks, where they'd be hidden places? I want to know more about that. Oh, would you see like a little tiny Minish town?
Oh,
I don't know. I really, but like, I don't know. of all the Zelda gimmicks, this is a staunch statement, but of all the gimmicks, including time travel and, motion controls, and all the different Zelda gimmicks, I think this might be my favorite one. And it's unfortunate that it doesn't seem like it's ever going to get explored again.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Like I said, I mean, here's a game I've ranked and I haven't finished, but I'm going to continue playing it. So, I mean, it's made a huge impact on just the little bit of time I've spent with it.
It's underrated too. I feel like it doesn't come up enough in the conversation of great Zelda games, where you always hear the same like 4 games over and over again. You hear like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom now. This doesn't get brought up off. A Link to the Past always gets brought up. This deserves to be in that conversation, I feel. And you know what, that's a perfect way to segue into where I ranked it. We can keep talking about it after this, but so the thing that was most on my mind about this game this week, I was trying to figure out, do I like this more than Ocarina of Time? Can I rank this above Ocarina of Time? Because obviously I was on the hype train for that when it first came out. I don't want to put that game down, but the more time I spend with Ocarina of Time, the more the game is like in focus, and I can like picture like the full map of each area in my mind, and I just kind of see the game for what it is, you know what I mean? And there's not like no nostalgia goggles, just pure like I can see it for all its flaws. And I still like it, but believe it or not, I think I am going to rank this above Ocarina of Time. And I'm going to put this number 3 on my list, right below Toe Jam and Earl, and I do not rank it above A Link to the Past, but I do rank it above Ocarina of Time.
So yeah, I also ranked it above Ocarina of Time, but I don't have the love of that Momo and so many do.
I still have love for it, but like I feel like I can look at it from an objective point of view after having finished it like 50 times.
So I put Minish Cap at number 8, which puts it under Mario World and above Ice Hockey. So my NES sports games are slowly getting knocked out of the top 10.
Don't just breeze past that, man. Like, you're putting this right below Super Mario World. That's a big, even if it is number 8, that's a big compliment.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty stacked top 10 with my one bizarre choice there right in the middle. But I don't know. I like Ocarina of Time. It's just I don't have the nostalgia or anything for it. But
yeah, it didn't hit you with the
past.
Right time.
It's just hard to top that. But it's really good. So.
For me, pretty close to Sean. I'm putting it number 7, which for me would be right below Yoshi's Island and right above Toe Jam and Earl. Above. And my top 5 still remain. So my top 5 are 3 Zelda games and 3 Mario games and 2 Zelda games.
And I see that one of them is A Link to the Past, and I feel like it's worth pointing out that if there was ever a gold standard, like I feel like A Link to the Past is always going to be the game that any 2D Zelda is just like compared to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I
agree.
Well, it might be spoiler for a future episode, but I would still put I'd imagine I put Link's Awakening above this game, because I really like Link's Awakening, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
That'll be interesting if that comes up, because I've only ever played the remake. So,
that's true.
I think I told this story on the podcast, but it's funny. I played the original so much, and then when the remake came out, I was just like, my wife knew that I was excited for a new Zelda game. And she saw me like start it up for the first time, and she's like, how do you know where to go? How do you know how to do all these things? And I'm like, I've actually beaten this game like 1,000. She did not understand the concept of a remake. I was like, I've actually beaten this game a bunch. This is just like a new look to it.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where. Like, I can't wait till we do some more of these Zelda games because there's 11 of them on Switch, and how many on the online service? I don't know, but like, there's a lot. So it'll be interesting to see where it eventually ranks up with other 2D Zelda games.
Yeah, I agree. I had some thoughts from the internet on this game, so let me make sure we get those in here. Let's see. Sorry. All right, here we go. We got Star-Lord 76. I don't think it's really him, but says, I've only played it once, and that was 10 years ago, but that was definitely not my... Oh, never mind. Sorry. I came away from the game thoroughly satisfied and considering it an underappreciated gem, though it's been long enough since I played it that I couldn't describe to you why I think it's an underappreciated gem. Yeah. Here's another one. Don't exactly remember many things, but that game was good and made me emotional in the end. My second favorite is the Oracle of Ages. I haven't played Seasons yet. Link's Awakening is incredible. The music still makes me emotional. That was that one. So people like this game. People, I had more. I lost them.
Yeah, I thought the music was just okay. I don't know.
Well, it definitely just uses music from the other Zelda games, so I think that's why people like it. This was definitely like, for some reason, they just combined a ton of stuff from other Zelda games in this game. A lot of other references.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that there's Bob-ombs and how do you say it? Lakitus? Am I saying that weird?
No, that sounds right. Lakitu.
Right. Which always kind of throws off my immersion a little bit, but it's kind of cool, like where where we talked about like how like when you play like an old NES sports game and you still feel like you're in a Nintendo world. Seeing Mario enemies in a Zelda game is kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And if any of you get stuck, Lavos YT says talking to your hat usually gives you a hint about where to go next. Plus, your goal is often marked on your map. So there you go. If any of you needed to know that. So let's find out what we're going to be playing next week for the old spotlight section here. All right, we're going to throw in our Nintendo 64 cartridge, and we're going to do this one for Harrison. We're playing Pokemon Snap next week. Yay! Ooh. I can retell my story about how I went to Blockbuster to get my Pokemon card, and the guy didn't know what a Bulbasaur was.
And I can play it with the proper controller.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you have any thoughts on Pokemon Snap or bad games and good series or the Minish Cap and where it ranks in your Zelda top 5, write us at nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. Just keep in mind, we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So if I don't know what you're talking about, that's probably why. And we'll see you all next week for some more Nintendo therapy. Bye.